Everyone, please welcome Jen Grant. Thanks.
Thanks, Jan. Good morning, Sat Nam. To get started, since today is all about alchemy of love, I would like you to close your eyes gently, bringing your hands over your heart. You might gently bow your head in reverence, in honor, in love, in compassion, in peace. And I just invite you to take a nice deep inhale and an exhale and connect with the love that already resides within. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. You can gently open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Sunday when we get the opportunity to come together and commune and have conversation and reflection around love. Maybe you can tell by my bio that love is one of my favorite things in the entire world to talk about. So as I found out that I got to share with you today, I was over the moon, excited. I'm really excited. And as I start prepping for a day like today, my mind goes in 500 different directions. There are so many things I could tell you, so many things I want to share with you. I'm going to start by reading a couple quotes. My glasses that I am learning to love more and more. They help me with my eyesight, which I'm grateful for, right? Thomas Carlyle says, "A loving heart is the beginning of all knowledge." Marianne Williamson, "For cosmic career support, ask yourself whether what you do is a conduit for good, the true, or the beautiful. Don't look for your unique gift. Look for your next loving thought." Mother Teresa, "I have found the paradox that if you love until it hurts, there can be no more hurt, only more love." Wayne Dyer, "The whole universal system is held together through love, harmony, and cooperation. If you use your thoughts according to these principles, you can transcend anything that gets in your way." Mahatma Gandhi, "Where there is love, there is life." Alan Cohen, "To love yourself right now, just as you are, is to give yourself heaven. Don't wait until you die. If you wait, you die now. If you love, you live now." Mark Twain, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it." Hafiz, "Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, 'You owe me.' Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky." Buddha, "In the end, only three things matter: how much you love, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you." And the last one, my own quote, "Leading with love starts from within, otherwise there is no love at all." 11 quotes in a book filled with 83 quotes. Over 10% of the quotes in that little book have love as their undertone. That wasn't the plan when I put that together, and yet that's what comes forward. Many of us know most of these quotes. I bet you've heard most of the quotes that I shared with you. We know the quotes, we know the spiritual teachings. A Course in Miracles says, "A miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love." Yogi Bhajan says, "I don't expect miracles, I rely on miracles." In essence, he's saying, I rely on love. We know these things. If you're in this space, you've probably read all the books, right? You've read the books. You practice love. I'm probably preaching to the choir right now. We know this. Today, though, what I want to talk to you about and what I want to really dive in is, how do we actually do it? How do we actually move from a place of fear, judgment, anger, frustration, guilt, into a place of love, compassion, gratitude, kindness? Because I don't know about you, but I know when I look around our world, we need more compassion, kindness, and love. I've never met a soul who's like, "I'm all filled up on love." I don't need more love. I have met people who are like, I don't really want to hug, Jen. Can we tap? I'm fine with that. But I have not met a person that says, I am so full on love, I don't need any more, thank you though. The only people that I've ever met in my entire life are like, bring me the love. And maybe they don't say that, right? Who walks around with a signpost that says, I'm ready for more love, bring me, okay, I do. But I'm probably one and not very many of us. Bring all the love. We need the love. Now, when we think of the word alchemy, I love that word. I recently took those cool online surveys that you can take. Take this survey, answer these questions, we'll tell you exactly what you are. And this one was for a spiritual branding type program that I'm going through. And my number one that came back was alchemist. And I was so excited. And then I was like, I got to make sure that I know what that means. I think I know, but I really want to make sure I know what this means. And the way that she described it is the way that I would have described it. It's magic. It's transformation. It's change. It's someone willing to take this and form it and meld it and shift it and come out with this. And so that's kind of the base general that I'm going with today, is alchemy is this idea of magic. It's this idea of miracle, that we can take this, meld it, touch it, shape shift it, put our love in it, and it will come out the other side all sparkly and beautiful. Hopefully. Not always, right? Because, life. So we do the best that we can. But as an alchemist, I know that my role in this world, my biggest role, and the mission that I decided to take on is to lead with love. Now, when I was a little girl, and through my little girl to my mid-teen years, my grandma always talked about patience. I love my grandma, bless her heart. She always talked about patience, and Grandma used to tell us, don't pray for patience. God's not going to give you patience. What's he going to give us? Opportunities to experience patience, opportunities to learn how to have patience. And for a while, I didn't really understand what Grandma was saying, and then as I got older and I could take it in, I was like, oh. So as I pray for my mission to be lead with love, I am not gifted, here's all the love, Jen. You're only going to have loving experiences for the rest of your life because your mission is to lead with love. Instead, it feels like the moment I committed to having my mission be lead with love, it was like God's like, girl, I'm going to test you. Let's see if you're really practicing this whole lead with love bit. And there are days, and my husband can attest to this, there are days where I wake up and I'm like, what was I thinking committing to lead with love? Because right now, not feeling it, don't want to feel it. I have all the tools. I teach it, I talk about it, I know what I could be doing, I could stop, drop, meditate, don't want to, don't feel like it. And yet somewhere within, this little heart of mine that says, but you committed to lead with love, comes back in that small, still voice, right? You know the one that every time we listen, it's right, but sometimes we're like, I can't hear you, la, 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 la. I don't know what you're saying right now. La, 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 la. And then finally you're like, fine, okay, because it's not getting any better and more people are flicking me off. This is not good. Clearly, I have to go back within, reconnect with my mission to lead with love. But you know this, right? It's not always easy. If it were always easy, wouldn't we already have a world filled with love? If it were already easy, we'd already have a world filled with love. It's simple. Leading with love is simple, not always easy. Leading with love is as simple as I'm looking this direction toward judgment, fear, anger, shame, guilt. And the simple is turn the way you're looking. I'm going to look this direction toward curiosity. Can we choose curiosity over judgment? Can we choose hope over doubt? Can we choose compassion over frustration? When that car cuts us off, not that that happened today, when the car cuts us off and all we want to do is use, that will not be spoken here. Can we choose compassion? Can we choose curiosity? Can we say, my gosh, I hope you get wherever you're going safely because you are in a really crazy hurry and I have enough time, I will be patient. Because Grandma says, patience is a virtue, patience is good. So leading with love, choosing love over fear, might not always be easy, but it is simple. It's as simple as turning our direction. It's as simple as making a new choice. And yet we've been taught this and told this. If you're in this room, I know you've heard it and come across it. And I bet most of us, most of the time, are leading from that place of love. But if we're honest, most of us still have triggers. Most of us still have things that catch us up every now and then. Marianne Williamson, one of my favorite authors. Love her. I came across this book 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. Not that anybody is counting, but Friday, July 17th, 2009. So July 17th this year will be 10 years. So exciting. So that Friday, July 17th, 2009, I'm sitting in the front row in a room filled with 400 people. And the man on stage is telling us how we're going to break through our limiting belief. And we're physically going to break a board. On one side of that board is our limiting belief, and on the other side of the board, we've written something that we want to believe. My limiting belief on the one side of the board is I'm not good enough. Because for the previous 32 years, I was convinced I'm not good enough. People don't like me, so why even bother? And I lived my life from that place of I'm not good enough. On the other side of that board, that new uplifting belief that I wanted to have but was so far removed from was I am great and I can do anything. And I sat there sitting in the front row with that board clutched tightly to my chest, knowing on one hand there's no way my board would ever break because the previous 32 years had taught me I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I am not loved. I was even convinced at that point that God, which I still chose to call God at the time, God, Spirit, Divine, Love, whatever you want to call it, I was convinced that God had even forgotten about me at that point. Yet, on the other hand, that small, still voice that we talked about, that little one inside is like, oh, Jen, come on, girl, come on. She knew that if the board broke, life was going to change. Now, without giving away the entire story, okay, I'm going to give it away anyway. I'm just going to give it away to you. Without giving all of it away, though, it took 3 tries. The first 2 tries, the board didn't break. After the second try, have you ever had, okay, raise your hand big and proud for this question. Have you ever had a time in your life where something happens and afterwards you're so humiliated or embarrassed or like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, and you pray the ground opens up and swallows you whole? Have we felt this? Oh my gosh. That was me the second time. I was praying, like, come on, whatever you want me to think or believe or do, I promise I will be a good girl from here on out. And the ground didn't open, and there I stood feeling like a jerk. Because my board didn't break again. No surprise, because in my head, the only thing that's running through my head is, your board's not going to break. Who do you think you are? You are not good enough. And all the stories to reaffirm that. In that moment, long story short, I look to my left, and there is a tiny, teeny, tiny older woman. I call her my grandma fairy. Like a little tiny, like the most adorable little grandma pixie fairy. Like you want to pick her up and put her in your pocket. She's so cute, right? You just want to take this woman with you everywhere she goes, or everywhere you go. So I'm watching as I look over and I watch her break through a board. And she must have been late 60s, 70s, I have no idea. But I watch her crack right through a board. And then as I'm watching her, I watch her do it a second time. And then I watch her do it a third time. And at this point I'm thinking, now you're just showing off. Really? 3 boards? As I stand here staring at you, I'm 32, I'm strong, I work out, and I can't get through my board. And my board holder, who I will lovingly refer to as very tall and very good looking, was standing there before me, and on his good-looking tallness, he moves the board and he looks down on me and he says, "You know what your problem is?" Okay, for the record, here's a bonus. Whenever we're having conversations with people, please don't start it like that. Do you want to know what your problem is? Sure. I'm really ready to hear everything that's wrong with me right now. But bless his heart, he got my attention. Tell me, because I've already got all of them on my shoulders anyway, because I've decided they're all mine anyway. And he tells me, your problem is that you're stopping at the board. The only thing you're seeing here is the obstacle of the board. Now, what I didn't understand in that exact moment, but what I totally get right now, hindsight is 20/20 always, is that he's telling me most of the time, instead of continuing to follow through and focus on where we want to go, we let that obstacle stop us. And in that moment, my hand needed to go past that board in order to get to his shirt to break the board. We get this, right? Makes sense. And then he says to me, "You know what other problem you have?" Well, I have, I only have 10 fingers. I could fill all those up for you if you'd like. Did you have one of these in mind or something else? And he says, "I want you to put a new thought in your mind. I want you to put the thought through the board in your head. Because what are you thinking about?" Of course I'm thinking, it's not going to break. It's my board. Why would my board ever break? And he says, "I want you to put the thought through the board, through the board, through the board. Put that in your head. And then focus on where you want to go." All right, what do I have to lose? So the third time I did exactly as a man on stage told us to do. I put my power leg back. I pulled my power hand back, fingers down, don't want to break them. The man on stage also said, "Suck up the energy of the earth." Now, 10 years later, I totally get what that means. But 10 years ago, I was like, I think you're crazy. I don't really know what that means, but I'm just going to pretend. So I is this sucking up the energy of the earth? I'm not really sure, but I'm going to suck up the energy of the earth. So hopefully that's in my hand at this point, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, through the board, through the board, through the board, through the board, and I push my hand forward, and my board breaks. It didn't shatter because it's a board, but it flew out of his hands. It broke so easily. And in that moment, one of the most powerful lessons I'd ever experienced, our thoughts matter. Our thoughts are powerful. And for 32 years, in that moment, I had realized I had been creating this life, feeling like I'm not good enough and that people don't like me. And I realized very quickly that if I decided to change my thoughts, my life is going to change. So I went on a 3-month experiment and decided I'm going to watch my thoughts all the time. That is exhausting. For the record, I'm sure I missed a bunch of them, But I saw enough to know how torturous I was to myself. We think we need to worry about the people outside of us. We think we need to worry about the others, the people that we're going against or in opposition to. We need to look within. We need to look within, because the moment I started looking within, the moment that I started changing my mind, suddenly the world around me changed. How is that possible? And yet, that's alchemy. When we change our hearts, when we change our mind, when we change our thoughts, that's an energy, that's a vibration. And y'all get this, right? But I think it bears to be reminded the power of that. Those 3 months, I say I went on a 3-month experiment and quit within 2 months, because I'm a winner like that. No, I quit within 2 months because life had already completely changed. I didn't need any more proof. Instead, I decided I'm starting a business because people need to know this. How do we not know this? And so for the past almost 10 years, I've been on this journey of exploring and uncovering and supporting and loving on people. And man, do you know how amazing you really are? And that you get to choose that. Every single moment of every single day, we get the choice. About 6 months into this journey, now I'll pick the book back up because now we're finally to this spot here, and I can put the glasses back on. Man, see the stories, they just pop out. When you come from this place of love, like stuff, God, divine spirits, like, no, this is how you're supposed to share and say and tell and teach. And so I just say, okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say, because you know way better than I do. And that means that I just can let go of it, right? So 6 months into this journey, I pick up this book by Marianne Williamson called A Return to Love. If you haven't read it, it is my top recommended book. And I read this in the introduction. She had me in the introduction. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we have learned here. This spiritual journey is the relinquishment or unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life. Wow. I don't know about you, but when I read that the first time, even now reading it, it makes me feel home. When I think of living from this place, it makes me feel home and settled and content and part of something bigger, part of this great big oneness that we're all part of. And it was at that time when I read that I was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to lead with love. I'm going to choose to lead with love. And it's not always going to be easy, but I get to remind myself that I get to choose it, and I get to show up. And guess what? If I get it wrong today, I get another chance tomorrow. If I get it wrong in this moment, I can get it right in this moment. And A Course in Miracles would even go on to say that there is no wrong. Love is all there is. It's all only love. If we're not experiencing love, we're experiencing a call for love to come in. That's all it is. When we see the guy on the road flicking us off, and we're like, I don't know what I did. He's calling for us to love him or her. We're being called to bear witness to the love that's within all of us. We're being called to be the alchemy. We're being called to be alchemists, to be miracle workers and magic makers. I'm going to invite you to take a moment. We're going to practice. I want you to feel this. One of the things that I do sometimes, and you get to have it today, is a feeling. I want you to feel and connect with what this feels like, so that you can never come to me and say, Jen, I just am not sure what love feels like. I'm not sure what judgment feels like. And I'll be like, sister, brother, I got your back. Let's feel it today so that we can then know always without a doubt, because that takes away the excuses. I know when I am not acting in love. I know when I'm not doing it because I feel all bound up and tight and uncomfortable in myself. So we're going to feel this for a moment. So if you want to uncross your legs for a moment. Hands can rest wherever you want. If you want them over your head, I don't care. Hands rest comfortably in your lap. You're going to close your eyes gently. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale. And an exhale. And I want you to, for a moment, think of a time when you felt love. You felt compassion, joy, peace. And get really attached to it. Who was there with you? What was going on? What was the experience? Can you see the colors? Hear the sounds, the noises? Love, compassion, joy, gratitude, kindness. And when you're there, put a tiny little finger up so I can see that you're there. Okay, feel that deeper for just a moment. Go even further within it. Can take a nice deep inhale and an exhale and come out of that. And I'm going to have you tell me quickly, give me some words. What did that feel like to you other than good? What did it feel like? Yeah. Boundless. What else? Joyful. Content. Abundance. Safety. Peaceful. Yeah, you feel this, right? It feels open. It feels expansive. Okay, we're going to do it again. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. And this time I want to have you get attached to a feeling of fear. Might be judgment, anger, frustration. And dive into that feeling, guilt, maybe shame. And as you're there, put a finger up. Okay. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. Let that go. Open your eyes. We're not staying there too long because that one doesn't feel good. And it's so much easier to get to, isn't it? What did that feel like to you? Couple words. Closed off. Again. Constricted. Heavy. Guilt. Scared. Cold. Suffocating. Oh, we know what this feels like, right? Tense. And you know what's fascinating? I can watch you. I know when you're there because you go like this. You're sitting, and the moment you feel it, you go like this. You just round in. It's constricting. It tightens us, right? Okay, we're going to go back to the other side quickly because what kind of speaker leaves you feeling like that? So let's go back to the other side. I'm going to have you close your eyes one last time. Take a nice deep inhale and a big cleansing exhale. And now reconnect with love. Dive in big. In a big, big way, get to that space of love, that compassion, that joy. Let that fill you up. Feel the miracle worker within. Connect to that. Connect to that great big heart center that you already are. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale, and you can open your eyes. You can feel the difference, right? Can you feel the energy shift in the room too? We can often feel that. You can feel like the, oh, ooh, oh. It's kind of awesome. So here's what I want you to take from this, and then we have one more thing that I really want to share with you to help give you tools, right? I want you to have tools. We know the quotes, we know the stories, we know all the great books, but I want you to have tools. Here's the really great thing. You have this tool. Everywhere you go, is your body going with you? Yeah. The answer is yes. Your body goes every single place with you. You can tap into this at any given moment. And you can sit from a place of frustration and anger and judgment, or you can choose to say, you know what? Not necessarily easy, but it is simple, and I'm going to look a new direction. I'm going to look toward love and compassion and kindness. And if nothing else, can I at least be curious? Can I make the choice to be curious? Can I sit with curiosity about why I'm judging this person? Can I sit in curiosity about why I'm so mad at myself right now? Can I just be curious about it? The moment we move into a place of curiosity, the moment we even allow ourselves to drop into that feeling of love, we are not that fear anymore. We are not that judgment anymore. We can move out of it. There's a tool that I give people when I'm working with them, and it's called JOG. So that's my acronym for you. I want you to think of JOG. If you're running into a tough situation, a challenging time where you're feeling triggered and you're like, freaking A, that love, I can't do it right now. Whenever you feel that, I want you to think of jog. Jog like we're running. So jog, J stands for judgment. O stands for observation. G stands for gratitude. You can look at any scenario in your life. You can look at any environment in your life. You can look at any relationship in your life. You can look at any TV show in your life. You can look at any single thing in your life and know how it feeds you based on judgment, observation, or gratitude. Without giving out any names, I had someone in my life that was a prominent person in my life. And every time I would see this person, I was like all bound up, that like, I'm angry about this person. And you're darn right, I was sitting in a place of judgment all the time. And then I came across this tool, and it was asking us, can we be curious about observation? Can I just step back and observe? The observation piece is neutral. Gary, can you put the feelings up for a second? Observation place is neutral. So neutral sounds like, you know what? That's just the way that person is. I might see them as judgment. I might be angry and frustrated by it. But the moment I can step into neutral, into observation, it sounds like that's not me. That's just the way she is. That's just the way he is. Can you hear that difference? It's a lot lighter. We're not to love yet, but it's a lot lighter. Going from bound up like that no good, rotten person to, you know what? That's just the way he is. That's just the way she is. And then gratitude, the third one, that's where we can get to the point of, you know what? I can now see the lessons in that. I can see the lessons in why that person was in my life. And I can be so grateful for those lessons because the gift that I was given. If nothing else, the gift that I was given, I don't want to treat people that way. And because I was treated that way, now I can see how it feels, and I don't want to do that to other people. So judgment, observation, gratitude. This list of feelings is broken down. So this list is the scale of emotions that comes from the book Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther and Abraham Hicks. Phenomenal book, maybe my number 2 book I'd recommend. The bottom half, the 9 through 22, as we look at these, the 22 on the bottom, fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, that's like the dumps of the dumps, right? Like that's a really sad, low place. And we've all been there, I'm sure. And as you go up the scale, they get a little softer, but I don't want you sitting at number 18 in revenge. Well, revenge is better than fear, Jen, so I'm going to sit there. Yes, it is better, but we can do more. We're alchemists, remember. So as we get up, 9 is pessimism, and right above 9 is little number 8, and 8 doesn't go in either direction. Boredom. Have you had a time in your life where you've been bored, and then it like spirals you down into angry? Have you also had a time in your life when you've been bored and it spirals you up toward love? Boredom can take us either way. Boredom is observation. Boredom is neutral. We get to choose at boredom. We always get to choose at boredom. And then the top 7, landing at the top, number 1, joy, passion, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. And they use the word appreciation there. I would use the word gratitude. Love, gratitude, tip top of our vibrational emotional scale. So judgment, the bottom. Observation, neutral, boredom. Gratitude, love, the top. Can we start looking at a situation, a person, an experience that we are judging? Can we say, how can I bring curiosity into this? Be open and just observe. Because the moment we do that, we are out of those feelings. The moment we bring in observation, we are not that judgment anymore. And then once we're sitting in observation, sometimes we can move right into gratitude. But if this judgment has been niggling at you for a long, long time, it might take a little time. It might take some practice. It might take some consistently turning. The law of structural tension says that tension will release itself in the direction where there's more energy. What does that mean? That means that if I am always looking this way, my energy is naturally going to judgment. So it's going to take practice until suddenly I gravitate toward gratitude and love. And the more you are willing to practice that shift, the more you'll see the love show up in return for you. What I really want you to hear this morning is that you are the alchemist. You get to choose. There are times where we're going to be angry. We're going to be hurt. We're going to be sad. We're going to be afraid. Can you be willing to at least be curious? Because the moment we're curious about it is the moment that love can rush in and release us from it. But if we're not even willing to be curious about it, we might as well bundle up on the floor and curl up. And we can do that. I'm not saying don't. There's a time and a place to bundle up and curl and cry through it all and yell and scream and be angry. But when you're ready to move through it and move to the other side and feel and experience the magic and the miracle that love can bring you, then we choose to pause, take a nice big breath, and be curious. I want to take you through a meditation, but before we do that, I want to serve you in a bigger way. I could stand up here and talk to you about this for a really long time, but I want to know if you have any questions. Jan has a mic, so if there are any questions, I would like to address those now, and then we'll end with a couple-minute meditation that is really super powerful. Anyone have anything you're curious about? Okay. All right. We're good. Let's dive into meditation, and then we'll wrap up. So this meditation is, it comes from Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan brought Kundalini Yoga over here in 1969. What I think is awesome about this, and men, I love you too. It has nothing to do with not my love for you. I love men too. Yogi Bhajan brought Kundalini over here for the Western woman. Because what he realized about the Western woman at the time is that she is so powerful and yet living a little bit chaotic. She was living a little bit chaotic that she didn't even realize the power that she had. And Yogi Bhajan thought that if I can bring her these tools that will soften the chaos, let her see the power and the light that she is, it's going to completely change this Western world. This is a powerful, powerful, powerful practice. This meditation is a very simple meditation, and yet a very powerful meditation. So we're going to put our hands in Gyan Mudra. Thumb and the pointer finger come together. Gyan Mudra, the mudras are seals, not like, not that kind of a seal. They're like seals, like we're sealing the points together. So there are a ton of different types of mudras, and it's just sealing the energy together. This is one of the most common in Kundalini Yoga. Now for men, you will put your this is your left. You'll put your left hand on top. So your circles are going to be on top. So left hand for men on top. For women, right hand on top. And this will lay gently over your heart. Oh, beautiful. Look at all of you beautiful yogis. And then you're going to gently close your eyes and comfortably rest your head. It might be at a slight bow. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. And together we're going to use the mantra, love is love. It'll be a gentle, soft tone, but we'll be able to hear each other through this. Inhale deeply. Exhale. And we'll begin the mantra. Love is love. 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 Inhale deeply. Suspend the breath. Hold it for a moment. I want you to feel that love. Focus on your heart. Exhale completely. Drop your hands, keeping your eyes closed for a moment. It is my prayer today that you connect with the alchemy within, that you always remember that you are an alchemist of love. You always get to choose. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. You can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. So before we bow our heads for a blessing, I just invite you to look at the beautiful faces around the room that we got to share space with this morning. And isn't it powerful and beautiful and amazing that we are all here and we are all uniquely designed and divinely created for something spectacular, and not one of us looks the same. Not one of us has the same gifts. We all bring love in a unique and beautiful way. We are all alchemists and magic and miracle creators in our own way, and it's perfect. It's so divine and perfect. Take a moment and bow your heads with me, please. I thank each and every one of you for joining us this beautiful Sunday as we come together for Alchemy of Love, as we step back and realize the strength and the power and the gift that is within each of us. May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within guide your way on. Please join me in a long sat and a short nam to close our time together. Sat Nam. I send you love and blessings this day as you go forward. Woohoo! Don't we woohoo? Woo! Thank you.